Kindie Rock Stars. Prepare for a treat, let's meet and greet some bands and singers that are super sweet, making music that's fun for boys and girls. Help them learn about this great big world. Fun for the family, yes it's true, your kids will love it and you will too. Clap and dance and sing aloud, become a part of the Kindie crowd. These songs will make you move your feet and give your ears a great big treat. So settle in, grab your guitars, and let's get to know our Kindie Rock Stars. Hello everyone, and welcome to Kindie Rock Stars. This is the show that gives you the stories behind the songs from some of the best bands and singers that are making fun, informative, educational, catchy, and occasionally silly songs for children and families. I'm your host, Patrick Adams, and each episode of Kindie Rock Stars will feature an artist and a featured song. So let's get to this week's show. All right, everyone, welcome to Season 2 of Kindie Rock Stars. And my first guest this season is Tom WEBER. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks for having me on board.
So, Tom, how did you get into Kindie music?
Well, I started off as a preschool classroom teacher, and I would play guitar for the for my class, and it was just something fun to do. Never thought of this as a career. I've been doing this almost 25 years now, full time. So it just evolved out of that. I would, just do sing-alongs, like I said, in the classroom, and we would take the kids sometimes to the, to see some grandparents and things. And it was just, again, never thought of this as a career or making money. I went into it, I think, with just to have fun. I mean, I have a mortgage and kids now, and my wife, and so that I have to pay the bills. But so I feel like it was something I was just born to do, because I didn't, it wasn't like I said, I didn't sit behind a desk and say, well, okay, I'm going to do this, and this. I don't think there's any official degree for a Kindie artist. I mean, you can go into education. College, and so forth. So it was just something where it evolved out of just something having fun. And I think that was the best way, if there is a way to approach your career, is because sometimes maybe particularly in the arts, if it doesn't mushroom for you, it doesn't happen right away, you get jaded. And I was extremely fortunate to have a wife who was very supportive, 100%. When I decided to leave, being a classroom teacher, to take the plunge into Kindie music. She couldn't have been more supportive. In fact, we wrote songs together, which was a lot of fun. Had a couple of CDs. You remember those things? They're great coasters and frisbees. Frisbees now. I was playing frisbee with a CD, my first one with my kid. So that's how it really came about. As far as, the career was just something really fun to do in the class with the kids, just singing. And that kind of would sum it up.
So at what point did it go from, singing with the kids in the class to, I want to put out a CD, or I want to release some songs?
It really, it was not overnight. It took, I would say, a good maybe 5 years. And it was really people around me. It was my colleagues, and the feedback that you would get from the kids. A lot of people would say, hey, they're saying you could be the next Raffi or something like that. And I said, oh, okay. So it was, people would just enjoy what I was doing. I mean, as a kid, I guess, I worshiped at the altar of Jim Henson, like a lot of us in Sesame Street. And so we put on puppet shows. So I think very early on in my life, I got the entertainment bug. So much of what I do, playing children's music, there's the other element besides the music, and that is to, keep them entertained. And I So I think I got that very early on. I would put on puppet shows, and I'd have three people watch, like my parents and maybe my uncle, and then it grew. So yeah, this was just something I was always sort of with children, whether it was teaching in a classroom, putting on puppet shows, just making up my own songs. I was a radio DJ for a while in high school. So it's a music, and it's like the culmination of all these my passions, I guess. It sort of it just came together. As far as being a Kindie artist.
All right, so I saw on your website that you have some different venues that you play. What are your most frequent ones, and what are your favorite ones?
My most frequent venues that I play, and it's the reason why I can have a career as a Kindie artist, would be preschools. Pre-pandemic, I was doing about 25 preschools a month, and it was weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And those were, I look at the preschool, they were like, that was my club circuit. I didn't have the advantages of doing that is you don't have to tour around the country, which is exciting. But as if you have a family and children, it's kind of nice to be there and see them at the end of the night. So yeah, primarily it's the preschools was my full time. I would say work that I would get, and everything else would be a library, a festival, house parties, birthday parties. Really, anybody who'll sit and listen. It was did everything. So it really the preschools, I would say.
Yeah, so
for the most part, yeah.
How did you handle the pandemic? A lot of people I talked to, they went virtual.
Oh boy,
YouTube or things like that. But how did you handle it?
Extremely difficult for me, because I've been doing this for, like I said, about 25 years, and it's sure it's a job, but it's so much of my identity. I'd be fiber. You have to love this. I think kids are savvy; they can tell you're going through the motions. So when COVID hit, the pandemic, it was just I was devastated as an artist, just wondering, like so many people, what's going to happen? How can I make a living? Doing this, is this it for me? I had a great run. So I started to really do a lot of networking, and I met a lot of different other children's performers. So I took comfort in just talking to other artists who were going through the same thing. Just worried about when could they gig again, because the state of the music industry, as you don't really make money through streaming services. Hopefully that'll change. So your bread and butter, is the gigging, teaching classes and performing live, which I really love. And so when that happened in 2020, it was just, Patrick, I'm lucky I had such a supportive family, and my wife is she's a teacher, and she's amazing. So she kept saying, this is no fault of your own. And, hey, and I started entertaining other types of work that I could do, but it's, when you've been doing this your whole life, it's like I said, it's like, wow, okay, now what? So I began to just network a lot with other artists around the country and really around the world. Nanny Nikki was an artist that I got to know really well. We did some work together. And in fact, we've got a single that we hope to release in the spring.
Cool. Yeah,
a duet.
I saw your YouTube video with her.
Yeah. So
check that out. Nanny Nikki and Tom Weber on YouTube.
Yeah. And she's fabulous. And a couple of the fabulous, speaking of fabulous, segue there, fabulous Lemon Drops in Australia. Those guys, they're great. And I'm trying to think, I did some Twinkle Time. I got to know her really well, and did her show, and Matt Mazar, Total Time Music. So there's a number of other different ones too, where it was just getting to meet other artists, that's the upside. Always look for the silver lining. I consider myself an optimist, but let's be honest, when the rug's been pulled out under you like that, you got to get creative and, just try to push through it. The pandemic and what it is. But it was a real plus for me because being an artist, I think sometimes you tend to live in a bubble. So I did almost, I wouldn't say virtually no networking, but it was very little. Occasionally I'd correspond with somebody or email somebody, but it was because you're so much in your own zone, with your work. So that was a real, real plus to be able to just to connect with other artists. So I learned a lot from that. We share stories about the business, and so that would be the best thing I would say. That came out of the pandemic is meeting other artists and realizing that we're all swimming in the same waters, and those cliches, but that as long as we have a guitar or piano, whatever instrument we play, that's gonna hopefully just keep us grounded or sanity until the world opens up, where we can start playing live again, seeing people. But I should mention that I did a number of different Zoom concerts. There's a library here in Connecticut, the Greenwich Library. I do a monthly concert with them. I'm now back to doing it live, in person. It's funny to say that. So I was doing that once a month, Zoom. But I have to say, at least you could connect with somebody, but I'm sure you probably agree with this. For what we do is children's artists particularly, it's so important that face-to-face, because I would do some shows and they'd have to mute the kids. And like you being a performer, an artist, there's little subtle things. Maybe a child will make a sound, or maybe a little gesture that you might not be able to pick up quite when you're live. You might not see it as well on a Zoom show. So I miss that just tremendously. And then muting the kids too, that kind of defeats what, those call and response songs we're going to do today, kids? Guess what? I can read pretty well. I can kind of see you.
Kind of defeats the purpose, yeah.
Yeah. So it was better than nothing. It was, at least I was, reminding myself that I'm a musician and I still do this, and, just trying to stay positive until, like I said, until things begin to change, where we can, as artists, we can get out there playing and seeing people in person.
So how have your post-lockdown performances gone?
It's interesting because I would say, I have to keep, I got to be grateful. I got to think of 2020. It's better than 2020, but it really is. I'm doing a lot of the schools that I do now. I would say most of them in the beginning, starting last summer, it was outdoor only, and then gradually in the fall, I started to have some schools allow me to come back in the building, and that's tricky because they're not allowing the parents to come back in the building. And the preschools where most of the ones that I go to. And the teachers have told me, they said, we love the parents, but that's actually, being a parent yourself, it's short and sweet goodbyes at the door for your child. And as much as you want to go in and, do the cubby drop off and all that stuff. So it was, mostly, I would say in the beginning, it was mostly outdoors, I think all outdoors. And then in the fall, it moved to some of the schools will allow me to come inside. But I have to be honest with you, the schools that I've been with, been blessed. Out of the, 20 plus schools, probably more than half of those schools, I'm not able to go back to yet because of particularly now, with Omicron and, the rates going up again. So I've kept in contact with the directors, and they said, we can't wait to have you back. They said, but right now, unfortunately, we're not even letting the parents in. So I'm waiting, for those schools, but I've picked up some new ones as well, and I'm grateful and for the schools that have me on board now, where it was like I said, you miss seeing people face to face and the kids. It's really, it's like your extended family. You get to know everyone. It's I always say it's a job, but to me, I don't know. Not to say, I don't know. Not to say that other jobs, they're just different. I think when you're dealing with people, it's maybe a little different connection. Whereas if you're maybe behind a desk or something, there's not a lot of interaction there. So you feel form these bonds, that being a teacher, musician, or whatever, sometimes comes along with it. Yeah.
So I'm curious. So somebody's been doing this for, you said 25 years. How has it evolved for you in terms of, what you write about, what kind of songs you put out, and just the business side of it too?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time, well, in the beginning when I was writing songs, just generally, I always say, for kids, it's probably food, stinky smells, and pets. And with rock, well, it's there's three things that you hear all the time, the themes, but not necessarily restricted to that. So in the beginning, the songs centered around just kind of silly stuff, and I would say over the years I've kind of evolved. Being a father, you look at life through a different lens, and not that I'm getting all serious in the songs, but there's definitely maybe a melancholy feel to some of the songs that wasn't there, in the beginning. And it's just that I would say that's how I've changed. But I never want to forget. Sometimes in an effort to try new things, you forget what initially worked and what kids really responded to, and then that humor and silliness, I think, is a big part of what I do in the songs. And in the beginning it was great. It was selling CDs, out of the back of your truck, out of the back of your car, and so it was great. So I didn't record for a while. I got a little disenfranchised, a little like I don't know, but I have a friend of mine who's my producer, Steve DeMott is his name, and he's got a studio here in Connecticut, Spiritworks studio. If you guys anybody out there want to check that out, he's just a phenomenal musician, hybrid. He does it all. He's got quite a resume too as well. So he sort of pulled me back into the recording end of it, because he said, it's sort of I don't know, it was the example they used to use. You'd go on tour when you had a new album, to promote the new album. And I think it's kind of flipped. It's just it lets people know that you're still out there, and that you're writing, and it's not it's become like a PR, I suppose. I mean, people can sing along to your songs through streaming services and sites, but it's more, it's more that you're relevant, I think, and that you've got something musically new, to say, instead of like, well, I did something 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it's, and the business side, or rather the way songs are done now, the way you release singles, and then eventually you put the CD, the album out. I have a friend of mine who I know, who he had said that he loved putting his the CD out, the album, and he said, but the only thing is he said it seemed like in 24 hours it was like, okay, that was it. He said, whereas when I was releasing singles, it was like a little bit like people were always looking for new content, new songs, and so he said I was a little disappointed at first. Not that people totally forget about my CD or album, but yeah. So that I think the business side there has certainly changed. I mean, bands always, going back. I'll be 53, but so I'm thinking about when the bands would put out 45s first, or you look at the way it kind of mirrors that, I guess, or 12-inch singles. It's there's new wave Depeche Mode. That's all my favorites.
In your shows, are there particular favorites of the kids?
Yeah, the favorite songs, and I love it. but it's kind of, I wouldn't say frustrating. I would love to do the songs with a lot of words, and and you still can, but I find that it's it's almost like catnip. The songs that are going to respond the most, of course, are the ones that are interactive. Generally, movement songs. It's almost not self-congratulatory by no means. I'm not like that. But songs with just moving about, clapping, jumping, stomping, all those things. And I love to do those. But and you can still do that. I call them the cool down songs. I pulled so much of what I do from a classroom, teacher, being a preschool teacher for many years. I would say, the songs that I'm doing are mostly, just a really interactive stuff. And then maybe towards the end, after the room clears out. No, just kidding. No, then I got to hear some lullabies or some quieter songs, which they do love. Depending on the audience too. If you've got younger toddlers, I tend to be some more finger play type songs, and then the older kids, the 5-year-olds, the old guys, you can do a little more. Maybe the call and response kind of songs are always fun. And Ella Jenkins. I gotta give props to Ella, and just learned a lot from her and other artists. I think the very first artist I heard was Hat Palmer. It was working in high school, and I was doing preschool. I was a preschool teacher, and Hat Palmer, I think, was the first. I guess he would be the first Kindie artist, family artist that I became aware of, and then Raffi, and then other artists.
I think with my kids, the first artist that I would see fairly regularly because they watched a lot of Nickelodeon was Lori Berkner.
Right. She's great.
She would have these vignettes where she would come up and perform a song. So. Right.
And Dan Zanes. It was funny. I got to meet Dan. Such a personable guy. And I saw Dan when he was in the Del Fuegos open up for, the LA punk band X. And I talked about that with him for a while at a show. It's like, oh yeah, that was my other life. That was interesting too, to see how all these quote unquote, adult contemporary artists started to embrace, children's or Kindie music. Lou Reed, that would be the one would have been the last person that told me, he collaborated with Dan Zanes on a song. Well, even Lou's getting in. So that was fun. I guess all these bands were having children now. They might be giants and on and on. Lori Berkner, definitely. It's great.
All right, you ready to get into a song?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Song on today's episode is called Sunny Days. All right, Tom, tell us what this song's about.
This song was written by my wife. She wrote the lyrics. We were living in our apartment. It's going back over 20 years ago. So it's a song that we had re-recorded. And I love the production, on this one. What Steve, my producer, just did a phenomenal job on it, instrumentation, everything on this. But it's a song I hold dear in my heart. Like I said, my wife being my Wonder Woman. I'm lucky, soulmates. We met when we were 19, and I'm 52. So far so good. But it was very cool. I had the melody, like I wrote the music, and she just started, I don't know, a couple of words, like Sunny Days or something like that, and it just she likes to write poetry too as well when she's not teaching math to her students, inspiring them. So that's where Sunny Days, how it's the story behind it. It's just two people coming together and making a beautiful song.
Yeah, my wife sang a couple of songs on my last album, and I'll never forget. I wrote one of the songs, handed it to her for her to record, and she completely rewrote some of it and recorded it. And she's a musician, and it turned out a lot better. So it's fun. It's fun to have that collaboration with your spouse.
It is, yeah. It really is, because you're so close to the situation. They say sometimes it's hard to be objective. Like I'll run the songs that I write by my kids, and sometimes they'll say, or I like that one, or I use the classroom much in the way that a comedian would use new material, before they go out on tour, where they test it with audiences. I'll do that with songs, perhaps before I record them. Like, you have a tendency to sometimes fall in love with something you've written, and then you sing it, and it's like, nope. They're not feeling it. So I figure if I go through, half a dozen schools or more, and I'm not getting any kind of real reaction from it, then it's maybe tweak it, or just toss it to the side and for a while, and come up with something different. But I think it's a good way of testing out your material. Kids are your best critics.
Absolutely. All right, let's check it out. Here is Sunny Days by Tom Weber, written by Sue Weber.
Sunny days, rest for a while. Come and tell me what makes you smile. Is it the love you feel inside? When you're tucked in bed and it's dark outside, you've got your PJs on and your cuddly bear. You feel safe 'cause your mommy's there. Sunny days and peaceful nights, all is quiet and the world is right. Dream of friends I'll meet and where I'll go. Learn all the things that I want to know. Sunny days make me smile. The world is mine and I have a while to explore my hopes and all my dreams. When it's sunny, it always seems that sunny days make me feel good. Feel so happy like I know I should. I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna be everything that is special to me. Sunny days, I'll never be blue, 'cause I know I'll always have you.
All right, Tom, let everybody know where they can find that song and where they can connect with you on social media.
My music is digitally available on all the platforms: Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, and YouTube. And as far as contacting me, you can go to singalongtom.com, and you can find out information about upcoming shows, bookings, if you're interested in booking me for a performance. And Tom Weber Children's Music on that thing, what's it called, Facebook? You can go there as well. And then there's Tom Weber Music on Instagram. There's lots of posts that people want to find out, get a taste of what I do with a lot of videos and pictures and sound, things like that. But that's how you get in touch with me. Gotcha. And you can email me too. So. Right. Sorry, I'm rambling. It's past our bedtime. Okay. It's 3 hours apart, I think, right? Nevada and Connecticut. Yep. Right. Yeah, I forget sometimes. I'll call my brother. He's in Arizona. He's an early bird. He's a cartoonist, syndicated cartoonist. So he's up at like 5 a.m. He finds it easier to write, when the house is quieter, and you hear that often. People who are creative minds, it's when the people, when your kids leave, let's go off to school, then you got a little time to write some songs.
Yep. All right. Well, Tom, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. Like I said, I was very, very excited to told a lot of people about, doing the podcast with you.